And if Caleb Williams doesn't develop into the guy that you need him to be, I mean, how are you going to find your next quarterback? Well, like, what is the avenue you're going to take? Because the upcoming draft classes for the quarterbacks, it looks very underwhelming. But I do think that Garrett Nussmeier has the potential to be a legitimately good NFL quarterback. I think that the Chicago Bears might have to move on from Caleb Williams. And it's not because I don't think Caleb Williams could develop into something. It's because I don't think he can develop into the quarterback that Ben Johnson needs Caleb Williams to develop into. And the way I would look at this is, if you're the Bears, and let's just say hypothetically you get the number 1 overall pick, I think you might need to draft Garrett Nussmeier, because I think Garrett Nussmeier would be a perfect fit to what Ben Johnson wants to do. I don't think that Caleb Williams is a perfect fit at all. I don't think he fits at all what Ben Johnson wants to do. And that is a quarterback who's going to stay on time with the offense, a guy who's going to make sure that he's operating the offense, not, hey, I'm going to go try and make a play. I'm going to go make an off-script play. That's not what Ben Johnson wants. And if you're the Bears, you have to ask yourself the question, who do we believe in more? Do we believe in the coach that was as highly touted as Ben Johnson was coming into this season? Or do we believe in the quarterback that we've seen for 2 years and we've seen hasn't made the proper progress? It's a question that I think needs to be asked. Do I think they're going to make that move? No, I don't. But if the Bears are anywhere close to that number 1 overall pick, I would package that first round pick. Let's just say it's 7th overall. I would package that and Caleb Williams to move up to number 1 and see if I can get my hands on Garrett Nussmeier if I'm the Chicago Bears, because I think that would be a perfect fit between Ben Johnson and Garrett Nussmeier. He would perfectly fit what Ben Johnson wants to do. And I'm not out on Caleb Williams. I'm not 100% out on Caleb Williams. Look, it's the NFL. Some guys take longer to develop than other guys. Caleb Williams is still very young. But, you have to ask yourself the question, if you're the Chicago Bears, hey, like, we're starting to get in that range where we're going to have to pay this guy if he does show some flashes. Because, I mean, you saw it. Jordan Love showed that he was good for 6 games in the 2023 season, and he got a massive contract. Like, that's the way the quarterback position is. If you show that you're capable at that position, teams are going to want to pay you a lot of money because it's so hard to find that position. And if they feel like they have a guy who could potentially be the guy for them, well, then that puts them in the type of situation to where they say to themselves, okay, we're going to have to pay this guy because we don't want to risk the potential of moving on from this guy. And maybe he is the guy after all. And maybe our organization was the problem. Like, a lot of organizations think like that. So if Caleb Williams shows flashes next season, he's going to put them in a position where it's like, hey, I want to be paid. And organizations are more than willing to just let go of money instead of waiting to see how things play out, because you have to sign all your players early. That's what I'm told by former players that work in the media. No bias there at all. Yeah, pay your players early, even though, hey, this guy, he's only showed us a little bit. Yep, pay him early. You got to do it. That's what the smart teams do. Okay, because you have so much experience running an NFL organization. Get out of here. But no, I think that they are in a bind here, the Chicago Bears. And I didn't love the pairing of Caleb and Ben Johnson. I did not love that hire for the Chicago Bears if they're trying to get more out of Caleb Williams. If they were going to do that, if they were going to make a hire, I think that Cliff Kingsbury would have been a better hire than Ben Johnson if you're trying to maximize Caleb Williams. But then again, you're not trying to maximize your quarterback. You're trying to maximize your overall team. So, Ben Johnson, I think he's going to be a really good coach in the NFL. I think he has all the right tools. I don't think that he's like a Mike McDaniel type where it's just, hey, let's just call a bunch of flashy plays and let's just put a bunch of points on the board. I actually think that he is a really, really damn good coach. And he's a coach that obviously he was highly touted, and it was for a reason because, I mean, let's face it, The Lions were an outstanding offense over the past few years. But, like my thing when it comes to Caleb Williams is this. I think that in the NFL, we have a culture where we give up on players way too early. Like, there is no reason for people to be 100% out on Caleb Williams and dismiss any idea of him not being a good quarterback. But also, I don't think that he is in the structure right now with the Chicago Bears where that's a reality. I don't know if it's going to work out with Ben Johnson. It seems like there's just too much to fix to turn him into the type of quarterback that he needs him to be. And some play callers, when you look at a Kyle Shanahan, when you look at a Ben Johnson, when you look at a Kevin O'Connell, they don't need these guys who are going to create off structure. They need a guy who's going to stay within the structure of the offense. Because of how well constructed their offenses are, they don't need quarterbacks that can extend plays and do the Lamar and Josh Allen stuff. They need a quarterback that's going to do what is asked of them by their coaching staff. And can Caleb Williams be that for Ben Johnson? I don't think he can. And that's the question that the Bears have to ask themselves. If they're high in this draft this upcoming year and they could potentially get to that number 1 overall pick to pick Garrett Nussmeier, I think that that's something that they absolutely have to entertain. Because if you have that opportunity, especially when you look at the upcoming, if you look at the upcoming quarterback classes, it doesn't look that great. I mean, who is the quarterback that really stands out to you as a future like superstar? Maybe Bryce Underwood from Michigan. I think he's shown some good things as a freshman. But other than that, like DJ Lagway looks underwhelming. Maybe Lenora Sellers, but he's coming out either this year or next year. Arch Manning is a flat out disappointment. So like, who's the quarterback that you look at and say, that's the guy? And that's why I believe if the Bears have the opportunity to, if you're a top 10 pick, package Caleb Williams, maybe package another pick if you have to, and get to that number 1 overall pick. Because if you don't, and if Caleb Williams doesn't develop into the guy that you need him to be, I mean, how are you going to find your next quarterback? Well, like, what is the avenue you're going to take? Because the upcoming draft classes for the quarterbacks, it looks very underwhelming. But I do think that Garrett Nussmeier has the potential to be a legitimately good NFL quarterback. And you have to ask yourself, after seeing Caleb Williams and what he's put on tape the first 2 seasons of his career, do you believe he still has that potential? It's a lot of questions that they have to ask themselves this offseason. But if nothing changes and he continues on the path that he is continuing on, if I were in that room, I'd be like, we got to make a move here. We have an opportunity. We got to move off. Like, we cannot feel comfortable paying this guy. Not only can we not feel comfortable paying this guy, but if we have the potential to go get a quarterback that we feel like fits Ben Johnson's offense more, we have to take that opportunity. And that's ultimately the way I look at this. So it's less of a Caleb thing and more of a let's go get a quarterback that fits with Ben Johnson. All right. It is less of a Caleb Williams thing, and it's more, let's go get a guy who's going to perfectly fit what Ben Johnson wants to do. And that's how we're going to build our offense for the future. And they also have to take into consideration the upcoming draft classes are going to be weak. That's what I would do if I was in that personnel room.